Some fine T-shirts today, by the way.
I'm not wearing a T-shirt today, unless you can see something that I'm not. AC, I'm confused. But we are here live. It is Scare-a-Thon 2025. It is Accademia Giallo. There's a whole lot going on today. But the most important thing is Scare-a-Thon. As you know, if you've been following the channel or following Horror 101 with Dr. AC, which why wouldn't you be? We're deep in the heart of scary season. And for the last 15 years, AC has been doing a Scare-a-Thon where classically he started out watching a whole bunch of horror movies and taking donations from people regarding how many movies he could get through during the month of October, and then donating the proceeds to a worthwhile cause. This year it's a tad different. You've been focusing on interviewing kind of people who are in this space of like reviewing and commenting on and just like sharing the love of horror movies on your channel. It's been a great series, and I'm happy to say that I'm a part of that series now.
I say your episode goes up on Tuesday.
Yes,
we saved the best for last.
Well, thank you. I can't wait to see it and find out what I actually said, because I think I blacked out, as I do most of the time when I'm not the person running the conversation. So very well done. But this year, AC, since you're here on the panel for Accademia Giallo, before we talk about 1971's The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, why don't you tell? Oh, is that a Blu-ray? Arrow Blu-ray. Oh, it's going all out.
I just watched that myself.
Nice. AC, why don't you tell us a bit about this year's Scare-a-Thon and the International Rescue Committee?
Well, you've done a wonderful job serving it up. Thank you, Ian. It was a great pleasure being on your show last week. Thanks for being on my show this week. Yes, International Rescue Committee, they have been around for almost 100 years, working in over 40 countries, providing assistance for those who need help. And this year, a lot of focus is on Gaza, but they're pretty much wherever people need help, and seems like people need a lot of help these days. So they have been staying busy. So I think the link is below in the description of the video. If you go to that link, you'll be taken to the Scare-a-Thon 2025 platform, and you can make your donation there. We are at this time. We are over $4,000. We are heading for 5 and hoping to get to 75 by the end of the month. So we got one more week to go.
Cheers.
Very cool.
And as with all of the live streams that I'm doing for the month of October, we're donating any super chats that come in during the show to IRC. So as you can see right now, just announcing that on the banner down below. And then also you can also support IRC separately if you're catching this later via the link down below as well. So yes. Thank you very much, AC, and thank you all for participating and talking about these great films all month long. So let's get to today's episode. AC,
yes,
you teed us off with that. Why don't you tell us what 1971's The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is about, directed by Emilio Miraglia.
I'm going to actually, the funny thing is the last time I watched this was 10 years ago in October while I was doing Scare-a-Thon 2015. So I'm going to read my quick
full circle
write-up. Yeah. Exactly. It was also the year I watched like 100 movies in October. So I can't say I remembered much about it from that year. So that's why I did a review. But here's what I wrote. Grieving the loss of his beloved wife, Lord Alan Cunningham engages in sadistic role play with various nightclub dancers and prostitutes, including the lovely Erica Blanc, on a regular basis, with lashings of flesh and lashings of flesh. Get it? Lashings of flesh and lashings of flesh. Anyway, these are the jokes, folks. On the advice of his doctor, he impulsively marries the lovely Gladys, played by Marina Malfatti, much to the seeming consternation of his former bride's spirit. Murders abound. I'll leave it there.
Excellent. Well, first of all, I'm going to try and keep up with the comments as they come in, because I'm horrible about that. So Jonas says, good evening. Good evening, Jonas. Good to see you again. All right. Well, okay. You watched this 10 years ago. Was that the first time you'd seen it, AC?
No, this is like the 4th time I've seen it. This most recent time is probably the 4th time I've seen it.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go around the room then. Steve,
this one used to show up on all the public domain box sets. And so I saw a really shabby version of it. And then 10 years ago, I got to see the nice Arrow Blu-ray. And that's the one I busted out for this occasion as well. Sorry. On to you, Steve.
10 years.
Yeah. Well, I learned two things watching this. Well, actually, three things watching this movie, and not to jump too far into the plot, but number one, whoever was the event coordinator who hired that band at the party needs to be fired. That was the worst band I ever heard in my life. Okay. Number two, Erica Blanc, who I love, is a horrible dancer. let alone an exotic dancer. Okay.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh my God.
Wow, man. Different strokes for different folks.
I mean, she's beautiful and she's great, but she cannot dance. I'm sorry. And, and number three, I just gotta immediately call out that score. That score by Bruno Nicolai, in my opinion, I collect a lot of Giallo soundtracks and stuff, but that is in either my top 5 or top 3 all-time Giallo scores of all time. I absolutely love that score. And I'm a real sucker for movies that are set in contemporary surroundings, but also have that Gothic atmosphere added to it. I'm a sucker for that, like Bava's Baron Blood and Murder Mansion. Nashi did it in a few movies, especially like the Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf. I just love that difference. You go from a modern setting to the Gothic, and this does it, and his other famous Giallo, Red Queen, does it as well. So I'm a sucker for that.
Do we think that Bruno Nicolai did the music for that crazy band you're talking about?
If he did, I'm gonna have to take I'm gonna have to use it.
Is it on the soundtrack?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I hope not.
Kitley, you look concerned or mad at the prospect of it not being on the score.
No, that wasn't mad. That was, I don't think it is, because I've got a few soundtracks where they put in musical numbers and you're like, oh no, skip.
All right. Well, tell us what was your first experience of watching Evelyn coming out of the grave?
It had to have been in the VHS bootleg days, even before it was put out on all these cheap releases. But on the Arrow Blu-ray, there's a bit with Stephen Thrower, which talks about what we used to have to watch and showing the pan and scan versions. And they kind of zoom in to show you. It's one of those flashbacks where you go, oh yeah, I remember that's the way life was. So the fact that you can watch this beautiful Blu-ray in widescreen is amazing. But it's one of those that I like because it is a Giallo. But at times you're not sure because they don't really play their hand or show their hand right away. So it goes back and forth of like, what is actually going on? But I love the storyline. I think it turned out really well.
I kind of jumping ahead from my own perspective. I feel like this is a Giallo for the middle part of the movie.
Yeah.
And like the first part of it is sort of it's almost like American Psycho in the swinging British 70s. And then it's a Giallo, and then it's a ghost story that kind of circles back to those Giallo elements that we've sort of seen in some other films regarding like, I love a movie that has the two killers or the people who are in on the conspiracy.
Conspiring,
and then, and this is the first time I'd seen the film this morning, right? A bit of last night and this morning. So I was confused, enraptured, blown away, and then disappointed.
Uh-oh.
I feel like when George leaves the house, they should have just rolled credits, but then they have to have the fight at the pool. Anyhow, I'm getting ahead on my own opinion. So, Brian, talk about the first time you experienced this movie.
I think it was I want to say it was so this is the Killer Dames Tupac.
Yeah.
Box set from Arrow. And AC, you mentioned this came out 10 years ago. That just blows my mind sometimes when I think of these like quote unquote newer releases or whatever. Because my first time was the No Shame one. I think there was like a 2-pack that came out in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Brian, was that the one with the figure of the Red Queen that came with it?
I think that was yeah. So I want to say it was like sold separately from the figure, but I had both. Like if there were such thing, but yes, because they put out. I think No Shame put out the little. It was so cool back then because I forgot where it is. Unfortunately, it's somewhere within my mess. This man cave of just craziness. But yeah, that one, harkens a time when like you would get a release and then they would like throw in something cool like for packaging or whatever. They still kind of do that, but Ian, we just did that episode on the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and I pulled out the box set that had like all the movies like forming the Freddy Krueger or whatever. Whereas like
Mhm.
now, if you get like the Blu-ray, it's just a little Blu-ray case with all the movies in it or whatever. It's like I wish they did more cool stuff to just kind of put you know collecting media and stuff like that. Like they don't really do that anymore. But anyway,
Well, because physical
I,
media is there's going to be a show in a few years called "The Night Physical Media Came Out of the Grave," because that's where it's heading.
but that's the thing. It's like
Unfortunately,
like I was trying to search for this movie, right? And I think it's only available on Screenbox or something.
you can also find it
But
on Plex, but you got to watch commercials.
well, yeah, and then like so in terms of convenience factor, like I just
Mhm.
whip out my Blu-ray or whatever, and it's just right there. But like it's just a shame because I was actually watching that the one that's available on Screenbox just to compare it to these, and nothing beats physical media. Is my point to all this. Like I remember watching this as a DVD long ago and just being not blown away by it, but what's already been discussed, I'm a sucker for a beautiful Brunei Nikolai soundtrack, no matter where it comes from. So this has that in spades. I love the soundtrack. I love the way that it looks. Arguably not a likable character in this movie, but that's not to say that it's a gorgeous movie to watch and just like listen to. Like I had it playing in the background again this morning as I was making breakfast, and just I mean, that's how I don't know how you guys do it. This is how I do it in the Martinez household. Making breakfast for my family with this movie in the background, which is crazy. Like, so, you know what I mean? There's a lot of lovely
Did you crack
negligees
an
to
egg
go
when
on.
Gladys got it in the forest?
By the way, the outfits that I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the outfits that Marina Malfatti wears are just gorgeous. Just the look of this film, I love. Not the greatest. I prefer Red Queen over this one, but I think this one came out before, and I think he shot these back to back, so it kind of shows. For Miraglia, shows like a nice growth like spurt because like he comes out with this one and then it's like you watch. I don't know if you guys have seen this one before, Red Queen, but it just shows that nice gradual step as a filmmaker. So I think this one just has a nice warm spot in my heart because like John is right, it's got all the elements that you would love from a giallo, but also it's got this nice gothy like romanticism inside of a castle and like these gothic looking coffins everywhere. It's like it's cool in that sense too. It feels like that's why I recommended it. I don't know if I recommended it. I'm on a tangent, but for Halloween, it kind of gives you that nice Halloween feel. So yeah, I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, I really liked this movie too, and I think I could have loved it if it hadn't been for that ending. I think I'll have to watch it again, maybe one or two more times before I appreciate what they did. Mostly because I don't disagree with the ending in principle. I just think the execution felt very much rushed.
Yeah.
So and because we're on a bit of a shorter show today, I'll just kind of breeze through it. And warning, there are spoilers. I've got the IRC donation banner scrolling at the bottom, so the spoiler warning is implied. But okay, so Alan Cunningham, our impossibly wealthy protagonist, he he makes a habit of seducing dancers and women of the night. Has a thing for redheads, but he's also guilt stricken over whatever happened to his wife Evelyn, and he ends up like torturing and murdering these people. At one point, he's at a party, and his friend or cousin, uncle, George has some kind of relation who's
his cousin.
his cousin is set to inherit the family fortune. He kind of connects him with this girl, Gladys. She turns out to be the one that Alan marries. They go into the big estate, and it becomes this whole like Downton Abbey thing. Like, let's meet the servants, and here's the big lush estate, and there's all these fabulous grounds, and we have foxes. She starts to get kind of queasy over this portrait of Evelyn, who's this classic beautiful redhead, and there's a big mystery as to what happened. At the end of the film, Alan is committed because he goes insane. His estate is then broken up. George gets pretty much everything. Gladys gets £3 million as compensation. And then it turns out that Gladys and George had been conspiring this whole time to get the estate. That's great. They go into George's, a house in his property somewhere. And it turns out Susie, who was one of the other victims of Alan before the marriage, who we all assumed had been horribly murdered because she kind of dies off screen, turns out she was also conspiring with George against Gladys, against Alan, so that they could all get this estate. It's this huge, twist on a twist and a double cross and a triple cross. Then it turns out that George had been playing both of these women. He drugs Gladys. She starts to die from the strychnine in her champagne. She grabs a giant blade and lashes out, ends up stabbing Susie multiple times. Susie climbs up the leg of George for help, and he's just kind of like, he gracefully steps out of the way as Gladys makes her last plunge with the knife because she's trying to get him and ends up getting Susie. They both die, and then he locks up this lush estate, and then he leaves. And I'm thinking, yes, this is the perfect place to cut to credits. But no, the doctor shows up, and then all of a sudden Alan shows up. He's looking great, and he wasn't committed. It was all a ruse because they were all against George this whole time. Like, no, you can't do this in the last 2 minutes of a movie because we've already spent the previous 10 minutes with the will and the exposition and the double exposition and the third exposition, and now we've got more, and there's this weird fight by the pool, and George is taken away screaming because he inhaled
with
something.
Sulfuric acid.
Yes, with
sulfuric acid. If you didn't have that, we wouldn't have the sulfuric acid, and I'm all here for it.
That's okay. That's work the sulfuric acid into the double cross with the two ladies. Have that scene take place out.
It's originality. Originality,
Ian, you say the twist on a twist. I'm like, and then give me another twist. I love the first half hour of this movie. The middle part, it gets a little boggy for me. I'm kind of like,
the giallo part. That's the wheelchair and the flashlight and the whole thing.
I know, but that's where we get kind of like, we're trying to make you crazy. Like, what's happening? It feels a little more familiar as opposed to going, oh, our hero's a serial killer, but we're going to start rooting for him, and he gets married, and then, like I say, then you have that last 15 minutes, which I'm just like, yes. Thank you. I never saw any of that coming. So all of the setup, I think I feel like this movie's about 20 minutes longer than it needs to be.
Yes.
Which includes 5 minutes at the very end.
No. I want 5 minutes times 2 at the end.
I do too. If that, my biggest issue with that last twist is it is literally like the last, I don't even know if it's 5 minutes. It's like the last 3 minutes of the movie where Alan comes out of the house, and then it's like, oh, here's the doctor. Or George comes out of the building. It's like, oh, here's the doctor. Oh, here's Alan. And then there's this fight, and then the cops show up to drag him away. Like, if that had been twice as long, I think if it had just been given a bit more to read, because to me, it literally felt like the definition of being tacked on.
Interesting.
Don't forget the fact that at the beginning of the movie, he starts out, he is in a mental asylum. So he's crazy. And throughout the movie, we know that he's committing these murders.
Right.
Do we?
Or at least one.
Do we?
That's correct, because that raises a big question at the end, which you wouldn't have had if you hadn't tacked that on. It's like the doctor is helping Alan to get George, and in getting George allows the murder of two possibly innocent people, although they were conspirators. It's still aiding and abetting a murder. On top of that, if the cops are dragging George away as an accomplice, they should also be handcuffing Alan and possibly the doctor.
So John, sorry, John, do you have a theory on like what's actually happening if it's not murder?
Well, we don't see the murders.
Right.
So is this him still hallucinating, still having a question of reality?
Because I had that thought too. I'm like, well, we don't actually see the murder happen.
No,
and it just kind of like we go on and we assume that there's been a murder. It
wouldn't be a good idea for them to make a murderer to be the one you want to sympathize with.
Right.
Well, but I think
that's a very good point, John. I didn't even think of that.
But that's how it's set up. I mean, we think he's a murderer, and we are sympathizing with him.
And I think that's right. I think the movie is trying to make us, at some point, sympathize with Alan. And the reason I say this is because the movie spends so much time from it, sort of a sideways from Alan's point of view. It's not like we're seeing the world through his eyes, but we're spending time with him alone with these women on multiple occasions. It isn't until the middle of the movie where it sort of changes focus from Alan to Gladys, but that whole first part is watching him commit these murders, him having the flashbacks to the garden and being inside his own head. So yeah, I think he is committing these murders. I think we're meant to understand that about him. And I think I'm glad you reminded me of that, Steve, because it wasn't just the tacked on nature of the ending in terms of my own, preference, but it's also the fact that at the end of it, it's like, okay, I could get if Alan was committed because he was found out for doing all this heinous stuff, but then to have him show up at the end, he's looking all dashing and dapper, and he's got his doctor friend with him who's helping him through this journey, but no one's going to be like, well, you also committed these crimes.
It's so funny you're worried about him because I'm worried about the cops grabbing George with the man with sulfuric acid. And I'm like, ow.
Same.
Well, and okay, that's a big, large swimming pool. How much do you have to put in there before it becomes lethal?
Science.
But in fairness, he threw it in. He threw it in close to where George landed. So
right.
Concentrated.
Details.
You want to talk about shocking the pool?
It'll kill everything.
I want to talk about those foxes real quick because that was a great proto like Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead moment where poor Gladys gets the rock bashed against her head, placed back in the wheelchair, got some big Friday the 13th Part 2 vibes, and then is wheeled into the fox area. What?
That's Agatha. Agatha.
Sorry,
and Agatha. Yeah.
Yeah,
and who
I'm stuck in my mind.
And who else keeps foxes in cages as pets? I mean, that's ridiculous.
They were hunting.
They're to be released for the hunt because they have like that row of guns. I mean, clearly he does fox hunts on the weekend.
I must have zoned out watching this one.
Easy to do.
By the way, am I bad for laughing out loud during that bonk scene, like when she gets bonked in the head twice? Because that was fucking crazy, like in terms of like, because you almost feel like, I think John and I had a conversation years ago about the scene in Demons where the dude falls flat on his face, right? Like you almost think like, are these like make-believe props or was that a real rock that he used to like bonk her in the head? Because it looked cool, it looked funny,
And I thought the woman playing Agatha, I thought she did a great job playing I've just been hit in the head and I'm
right.
That is her only credit. So
is that right? Oh shit!
Wow.
Are you implying
now she got up out of her wheelchair?
She did. Yeah.
Anybody have a moment of like, oh, she's been tricking us the whole time, and then she gets hit in the head, and I'm kind of like, well, that story's going nowhere. Never mind.
Which is an interesting choice, right? When you consider like all these different twists and whatnot, like,
yeah.
Hey, do that scene, but do it like standing up and walking totally fine because whatever,
Hey, I'm gonna put myself out here with a question that's gonna be obvious the answer to anyone who paid attention to the film, but I just watched it today. I'm trying to rewind the plot in my head. who was the person that killed Agatha? Was that Alan or was that George?
It's probably either George or Gladys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would say Gladys.
Okay.
I could see Gladys using a rock to like.
And the same person who killed Albert, the brother of Evelyn, with the snake.
Right.
Oh yes,
That
yes.
was a great kill.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think it's going to be like some big dramatic horror
Right.
movie moment, but it's just like a little, like almost like you got bit by a mosquito.
I
and then
literally
he
said
died
out
for
loud,
me.
I'm like, you just touched me with a rubber snake.
Yeah, usually snakes have to bite you to get poison injected in you, not
Whack.
just tapped.
John,
This
it's science.
This snake is super
Science.
lethal. Like just contact high.
It's a professional assassin. Don't you know? I know, it's terrible. It's a groaner. Wait 1 second.
Has
We got a
Jonas seen
comment.
this movie? Jonas, have you seen this movie?
Are anyone getting the House with the Laughing Windows 4K Arrow or of Shame or Shameless?
From Shameless, I
good.
guess is what he's meaning.
From Shameless.
It's or right, yeah.
No. Well,
I
I
love that
yes.
movie though.
Yes.
if it falls out of the sky, I will gladly take it and watch it, but no plans at this point. We talked about House of Laughing Windows. I can't talk today. House of Laughing Windows was that a couple of years ago now, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to say for this very show. So, which kind of brings me back to my question. This movie has elements of giallo in it. I mean, it is officially a giallo because the first scene where someone pops open a drink of high class alcohol, it is J&B. That was my laugh out loud moment. But aside from that, the giallo kind of touch is only in that middle stretch of like maybe 20 minutes where there's actually a kind of a gloved killer. And I guess at the end there is sort of these conspiratorial elements, but this feels so otherworldly and not traditional giallo to me. Does this qualify, or is it just enough to get into that qualification?
I like the fact that Alan put on his giallo outfit for the
Yes.
rainstorm.
Oh, I was gonna bring that up. Once he brings out that Nehru jacket,
Yep.
m-
I cheered.
just hit,
I
just
cheered.
run. Anybody comes out with a jacket like that, run.
I was making my eggs clapping at that scene.
It's funny because Wikipedia, lists this as a gothic horror movie. It doesn't even mention the word giallo, which is strange. I think it's a giallo, mostly because of the entire middle part. But I love it.
I think it's one of those movies that like it's hard to define. Like it's hard to sit there in a conversation with like film experts or whatever you want to call it and be like, this is a true giallo. Let's define what like for me, it just feels very, very giallo. It feels like drenched in giallo. And then they took that ingredient and then made like a gothic thriller kind of thing with it. So that's what it feels like to me. Somebody soaked it in J&B and made something
part
else.
of a giallo is all misdirection, and that's a lot what they do here is they throw the gothic horror element into it to make you think this is something different, and then you get to the end and then you get the twist upon twist. That's a giallo
because it feels very amicus too, right? Like it feels very like I don't know, that European gothiness,
amicus
which
never
it
had
is.
that much nudity.
Unfortunately,
right.
I will say that, like, John, I like that comparison though, because the ending, that twist on a twist, that feels very amicus. Like all of their little anthology stories that end with, you thought it was this way, but it's actually this. Yeah, that's it. Actually, I never thought about that before.
I'm gonna perv out here for a second, but it's in the name of appreciation. During the flashback sequences or the hallucinations where Alan is remembering his kind of nude romp with Evelyn in the woods.
So beautiful.
It's all slow motion, but it is slow motion. We're constantly seeing Evelyn running away from the camera deep into the woods. Her kind of like flowing nightie is flying off of her. And I have never seen perfect rippling buttocks like that in a film. It wasn't like I think we just lost a viewer. Anyway, it wasn't again.
Gain one.
It It wasn't like a pure prurient interest thing. It was just like, did they do that in slow motion just to appreciate the movement? I mean, it was like watching a stallion in slow motion. It was captivating. I don't know.
I just
what
like
it
to
was.
say that's when my wife happened to walk through into the room and immediately walked back out again. I'm like, never mind.
When you get time, Ian, check out Jess Franco's barbed wire dolls for the best use of slow motion.
Yeah,
Barbed wire dolls. Is that the one with
just
Pam
throw that out
Anderson?
there.
Sorry, what? No. I'll have to take that recommendation. Is that can that be can that qualify for the
we're
show?
not watching that.
No, just on your own personal time.
But not on like a work computer, I'm guessing. One real quick. Our Alan character. Hold on, don't mean to be showing comments because it was just Jonas's or. Anthony Steffen. I've not seen this person in a film before, at least not that I can recall. Reminded me of like a himbo version of Peter Falk with the mannerisms of William Shatner. Wow. I don't know what it was, but go back and look at him. If you can put up like a side to side of him and Peter Falk. I mean, it was very strange. And yet the way he carried himself was very like Captain Kirk in a lot of respects. I couldn't, aside from the rippling buttocks of Evelyn, I couldn't keep my eyes off of him.
Yeah, he's not one of my favorite actors. He made a big name for himself before Giallo in spaghetti westerns. He was in a couple of the Django movies. He was in Django the Bastard. He was in a movie called Arizona Cult Returns, which was the only reason I'm a spaghetti western fan too. But and I'll bring her name up on every opportunity available. Rosalba Neri's in that, so that's why I watched it. And I think the only other Giallo he did was a movie called Crimes of the Black Cat. Yes. Which I'm not even sure if I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's an older one, right? 69, 68, 69, I think.
I think it was 70, 71, right around this time, I think. Okay. I could be wrong.
But I made the American Psycho comparison earlier on. I think something that Steffen has in common with what Christian Bale did with the Patrick Bateman character is showing that kind of suave, upper class elite guy just barely holding it together. And then when we see him in private, when he is unleashed, he becomes a completely different person. Now, we didn't see Patrick Bateman cracking up to the point where he's actually being committed or anything, but I do think there's this would make a great double feature of just barely holding it together while also, I guess, murdering people, which technically counts as not holding it together. I'm trying to. I had something I wanted to bring up, and I'll have to look at my notes. Someone else bring up a topic
while you're name checking. Giacomo Stuart Rossi is someone you'll see in a lot of Italian horror. He's Kill Baby Kill is probably one of his best showcases, but he also shows up in the Vincent Price movie Last Man on Earth. But he's the one who plays the doctor. And he's a familiar face. Erica Blanc is also somebody that, if you're a fan of Euro horror, you will see her pop up from time to time as well.
Devil's Nightmare.
Nice.
Devil's Nightmare, absolutely. That's a top notch. That's at the top of the heap. It's not a Giallo, but what a great movie. And Marina Malfatti was in quite a few movies too. Obviously Malfatti. Sorry.
Malfatti. I just like saying Malfatti.
Don't call her fatty. She's bone.
She's beautiful. She was in the follow-up, Red Queen, and I think she did some Lenzi stuff, Seven Bloodstained Orchids, and all those movies. Not all those, but I think All the Colors of the Dark.
All the Colors of the Dark.
With Sergio Martino. Yeah,
and she passed recently too. Within the last 5 years, or so, I want to say.
I could have sworn that I'd seen the guy who played George. But I went back through his credits and I did not recognize him. But he seems like somebody I've seen before.
I've seen him before too.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what horror credits he might have had, but I was not able to pick any of them out. I like him a lot. I think he's a fun presence.
He's great because he has that aura of being either a dead meat or someone who's going to disappear from the movie. Like every scene feels like is going to be his last. Not like he's going to be dispatched, but just like you'll never see him again, a tertiary character. But he's there and he's kind of like in the background, hiding in plain sight from beginning to end almost. And yeah, I agree that that scene where he's in the bed with Gladys, I think is just great, because you start getting the sense of her possibly working the double cross over in her brain, not realizing that she's the victim of a double or maybe a triple cross already. One thing I wanted to mention, that that penultimate scene in the lover's pad or whatever, I have a giant sculpture of a matchbook on the wall, and I want one. I don't know what it wasn't a painting. It was like an art installation, but it was just so beautifully done. But one thing I wanted to talk about, speaking of Miss Malfatti, the scene where it's towards the end, she's in the bedroom and she sees the apparition of Evelyn kind of swinging outside her window. Just the shock of her. She's got her hand up around her neck. That is one of my perfect representations of absolute paralyzing fear. And it's not showy. It just looks so genuine that it's totally effective. If she had done nothing else in this movie, that would have been amazing.
And that nightie she wears just like enhances that scene too. I think it's very.
I didn't mean to open this up with the whole buttocks thing, but we're trying to keep it.
I'm just saying, like, this movie has a lot of beautiful eye candy, but like almost in a refined sense, because like it's not like she's popping out of her nightie, like everything's staying intact, but it's very like, if there was ever a movie to really like bring home the sense of tastefulness, right? Like, I think, like, because like even like the lovemaking, it's kind of like in the same vein as Strange Ward, where like she's like in between his legs instead, and it looks weird, and it's like, how are they, where's that going and what's going? So literally, it's like it feels very like, I don't know, PG-13 in terms of the love scenes, because it's mostly nudity, it's mostly all that stuff, but in terms of actually being sleazy, like, this is not as sleazy as, say, something like Strip Nude for Your Killer or something like that.
Well, but that's an excellent point, Brian, because I think, although I appreciate the copious amounts of flesh that are on display here,
as do I,
there is, I think, an equal amount of, as you would say, tastefully attractive women wearing revealing clothing. And I feel like you could have taken out all of the nudity in the film and still have it be a very kind of sensual, murder / possible ghost mystery. The fact that it's not sleazy, I think, is quite an accomplishment. It's classy with a capital K.
Here's a little irony for you. The screenwriter of this also wrote Strip Nude for Your Killer. So go figure.
Oh, huh.
Wow.
Nice. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Isn't it?
I wonder if he like later on was like, you know what? I'm just going for it. Whatever,
balls to the wall, so to speak.
I got Edwidge Fenwick now. I'm just going to go for it.
She's the magic ingredient. Jonas chimes in. Thoughts on Celluloid Dreams' upcoming release of Hyena in the Safe? Can't wait to see it. Haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
I'll only say Celluloid Dreams is doing a lot of like actually interesting things lately. Like, it's one of those like names that like I'm seeing pop up more with like some of these like, oh, that's a cool looking release kind of thing. So
Hyena in a Safe. Have you guys seen that one?
No,
I have not.
I may have. I'm familiar with the title. I'm not sure if I've seen it though.
That's a creamy.
It's a creamy. Okay.
Pretty sure.
Creamy.
What does that mean?
German. It's a German
detective. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really the German giallo, because it's not really follow the giallo, but kind of. It's hard to explain.
It's like a precursor to the giallo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made quite a few of those.
Well, I do know, as far as Celluloid Dreams, the Henkels who run that, I was going to call it a studio, but that boutique label, folks may know that I did an interview with them a couple of months ago for the channel.
Yes.
So I'll drop a link to that below. It's a fascinating interview. And if you want to talk about people who are very hands-on with every aspect of distributing these films, those are the guys. It's father and son team. They're amazing, and they do everything like literally out of their house. So yeah. Okay. Time is not my friend here. So I want to kind of wrap up with anything big as far as Evelyn coming out of the grave, or the night Evelyn came out of the grave, that we want to finish on? Anything we haven't touched on?
How about Erica Blanc's entrance in the Crazy Cat Club, coming out on stage in a coffin?
Highly memorable.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
and then she proceeds not to dance to your tastes, Steve.
Well, I wouldn't kick her out for eating crackers. You know what I mean?
She's no Barbara Boucher in terms of her dance. So
I will say it's a testament to, I guess, the screenwriter and also the performances, regardless of the dancing, that when she shows up at the end as sort of George's co-conspirator, I kind of rolled my eyes because I'm like, does that even work? And then I had to work it back in my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, we never actually saw her die. It was an off-screen thing. It was like kind of a lunge forward, whatever. But I just love that there was this conspiracy that got turned in on itself, and the two women kind of killing each other at the feet of this guy who was orchestrating the whole thing. I don't know that I've seen that before, or if I have, it's been a long time, but I've never seen it quite executed like that, where he is literally standing kind of disinterested over them. Like he knows that there is no way that he can be harmed in this situation, which is quite the amount of confidence for someone who's standing with a woman like desperately dying, this giant knife at his ankles.
Yeah.
I think it's also helpful that Erica Blanc has such striking features that you immediately go, I remember who that is.
Oh,
yeah.
If they tried out some beautiful woman, you've been like, wait, who is that? But you're like, no, that's her. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, talking about features and kind of like being unmemorable, it is sort of a feat that when Gladys is introduced to the estate staff, and that line of 5 maids that are lined up, they all have blonde curly hair.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I didn't get a look, didn't zoom in on their facial features or anything, but they all looked identical, like some kind of a Stepford Maids thing. It was really weird. Yeah. Brian, go ahead.
I was gonna mention this one came out in 1971. That's like the sweet spot of like my favorite time of gialli, like in terms of like, even as discussed today, like this doesn't truly feel like an all-out giallo film, but it has a lot of what makes you feel like it's a giallo film in it. And I think back then there was a lot of movies coming out with that same kind of vibe. So it's like some of them aren't as strong as others, but for the most part, like all of them just kind of inhabit that certain time. So like it takes me back to that time of like when these movies were made, like not on purpose, when they came out, right, and they were actually genuine and like steeped in that kind of giallo like beauty or whatever. So I enjoy it for that. I love the Nikolai soundtrack in this film. I love just some of the rich eye candy that this has to offer. Like the film, like I was gonna say, the cinematography is gorgeous in this film. Granted, maybe some of those shots take a little bit too much time with her, but like it just feels good. Like I said, I had it on in the background earlier today, and sometimes I just walk by and be like, "Oh, that's a beautiful shot."
And that's when you noticed the toast was burning, so you had to turn back to your food.
Right.
I think it's interesting that this director only made 2 gialli movies, and they're 2 of my favorites. So go figure. I think it's just interesting.
Well,
that's cool.
And that is a great high note on which to end, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you out there for hanging out. Jonas, we appreciate you, and everyone else who stopped by to watch and participate. Again, this is Scare-a-Thon 2025 edition of Accademia Giallo. All proceeds from this show are benefiting the International Rescue Committee. So please feel free to check the link below and donate, and also check out Horror 101 with Dr. AC. He's got all the information about Scare-a-Thon and links to his YouTube channel, where he's got all the interviews of the people he's been talking to this month in support of horror of all different kinds of genres, just sharing the scares and spreading the appreciation. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out. Next time we meet will be, oh my gosh, wait, hold on a second. We got one more comment from Jonas. Is the Swedish movie Mannequin in Red 1958 available in America? I don't know. I don't know that one.
I don't think so. I'm going to go on a limb and say no. It's not available in America.
I'm pretty sure, though, if you put on the movie Mannequin from 1986,
yes,
that's the settings on your TV, you could watch Mannequin in red.
In red.
Or if you wear a red,
if you wear red, you'll be watching Mannequin in red.
Right.
There you go. You got to get all dolled up, as it were. Anyhow, thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We'll be back in December to close out the year. I can't believe we're here already. So if you have suggestions on what to watch as our final Accademia Giallo, feel free to drop them in the comments here. Otherwise, we're going to get to work on figuring out our last show. But thank you very much. I am Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat. We have Brian Martinez of the Giallo Room, John Kitley of Kitley's Crypt, AC of Horror 101 with Dr. AC, and Steve, aka Big Swifty 500, formerly of the comments and now of the faculty.
You made it, Big Swifty. You made it.
All right. So thanks, everybody, very much. Again, support Scare-a-Thon by supporting IRC. All the information is down below. And until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thank you very much. Take care, and class dismissed.